This is Cannaramic, and we're bringing you cannabis like you've never seen it before.
Yo, so welcome to Cannaramic, your number one spot for all things cannabis related. Experience cannabis like you've never seen it before. Big shout out to SOHH.com being the sponsor for today's discussion with the one and only legendary Capone. You know what, Capone? I could freestyle, but I'm going to just make sure everyone knows Queens native Capone Noriega, aka CNN, over 2 decades. Because if I start just doing it on my own, I'm going to be all over the place, Capone. Tommy Boy, Def Jam. You've been in video games, man, with the whole Def Jam Vendetta franchise, and then the collaborations are galore, man. LOX, Raekwon, Nas, everybody in Queens practically. Busta, Foxy, Mob, Deep, man. So, I cannot thank you enough for taking part in Cannaramic today, man.
No doubt, no doubt. I thank you for having me, man. You know, I'm an avid cannabis connoisseur. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So one thing I really want to open up with you, though, first, before we really dig into a Capone, is this whole element of see cannabis different. There's so many like negative notions, and a lot of it has to do with throwback propaganda. Just like, oh man, if you smoke weed, or smoke cannabis, you're gonna be like an addict, and you're not gonna be productive. Yada yada yada. So we've basically been asking everyone that we talk to, how do you view cannabis? How do you see cannabis different from the negative notion? So giving you kind of the spotlight real quick, how do you see cannabis?
I mean, I look at cannabis like, what I'm saying? Like, cannabis is just, it's like a healer to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, anything that medically can get prescribed to you is a healer. And, they don't medically prescribe you dope. They don't medically prescribe you cocaine. They medically prescribe you cannabis. You know what I'm saying? And I just look at it like this. They always say cannabis is like a gateway drug. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, if you smoke cannabis, you're going to wind up using dope. The average person who's a crackhead, they smoked crack before weed. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't start with weed and then start smoking crack. No, most people that smoke crack, they smoke weed to come down. That was the after drug. That was the mild drug. I don't see no weed head crackheads. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not gonna happen.
Absolutely. And you know what's so crazy? Everyone that we talked to, and the stats prove that wrong anyway. The stats show that that's not the case. But we've talked to Redman, we've talked to this kid out of North Carolina, Fat Sosa, and basically they were already doing hard stuff, Percocets or whatnot, before they even got into marijuana. So they were already down that road.
Yeah, and that's a fact. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact. Like, everybody look at, like, when you look at you know what, that's a speculation from the 70s and the 80s when hard drugs was considered like, bad. Now everybody use hard drugs. Like, the kids, like, it's not bad to be a fiend no more. Like, it used to be bad to be a fiend. So now that the fiendism and drugs is not the same no more, now they had to find something else to make it seem like, all right, well, you smoke weed, that's bad. But it's not. It's not. Only thing that's bad about weed is that they ain't legalized it yet in every motherfucking way. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So, I wanted to start off real quick, just kind of going all the way back, more so to your childhood, teenage years, Capone. Growing up as an African-American male in the inner city of New York, specifically Queens. I really want to know, what are some of the ways, especially with cannabis, how did that impact your community? Just kind of what was the relationship with cannabis in the community, maybe from a selling aspect to, just being an observer of friends and family that engaged in that?
Yeah, I remember when I was young, like growing up, I was one of the people who thought weed was bad. Like, I used to see roaches in my mom's ashtray. Then see, for the real weed people, the weed used to come in the yellow envelopes back in the days. That was like when it was cess and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So I used to throw my mom's roaches away and be mad, like, because I thought it was like crack. I thought it was like hard drugs. So I was like 10, 9 years old. I didn't know the difference. And then as I got older and I seen, like, weed ain't shit. Like, everybody smoke weed. Like, and then my mom's, when she found out I first was smoking weed, she was like, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, I'd rather you do that than something else. She used to be like, well, smoke in the house, because I don't want these other people in the projects thinking I'm letting you run around smoke weed. So I used to smoke in my house at a young age. You know what I'm saying? And then just going out, as far as the money aspect, I think the first drug everybody, whoever, I don't care how big you became in selling drugs, if you sold 1 million birds, the first drug the average hustler sold was weed. That's what got the average hustler to start weed. And you know, that's how it was in my projects. Everybody was running around 14, 13, trying to go uptown and get 5 nickel bags and sell a nickel bags for $10. That's how we used to do it. That's how we made money at a young age.
Absolutely, and I really want to talk about or give you an opportunity to really bring up what was the relationship with law enforcement. You know, because a lot of, you know, the West Coast is a lot more lenient. You know, you got the Colorado spots, you know, of course, Seattle, Washington, but specifically in New York,
Yeah.
I guess, well, how big of an impact was, you know, cannabis and law enforcement with some of those people that maybe sold it when you were growing up?
I mean, you know, it was always a fucked up thing for a lot of people because it gave the police to legally search you or your vehicle. You know what I'm saying? Like in New York, it was like you smoke in the car, police pull you over, or we smell weed. They know 9 times out of 10 you got weed, you might got a gun, you might got something else. But that sent a lot of people to jail for just smoking in your car or walking around smoking in the park. You know what I'm saying? Like for instance, like my partner Nori, you know, this was like maybe 98. Him and Nas, no, this was like maybe 99. Him and Nas was out smoking in the park, and they wasn't even in the car smoking. They was outside the car smoking, and the police came up and they was like, "Yo, y'all smoking?" Like, yeah. Just because Nori had his music playing and his car doors open, they arrested him, impounded the car, and then Mercedes Benz turned around. And at that time, people didn't understand that when you lease the car, Benz credit, if you catch any illegal issues or whatever, they can terminate your lease. And they wound up doing that to Nori, terminated his lease. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many gateway problems that police have the the right, they feel they have the right on your person or find a dime bag of weed. Now they want to take you down, get your fingerprints, see if you got warrants. All for weed. I didn't kill nobody, I ain't shoot nobody, I ain't rob nobody. I'm just smoking a damn blunt. And then now you want to take me down to the precinct, violate all my rights, put me in a holding pen with murderers, rapists, and all that. You know what I'm saying? So that was their way to violate our rights.
Absolutely. Yo, Capone, man, a lot of emotion with that. I really want to kind of crack it open a little bit wider than that, man. Talk about the racial bias. I'm about to hit you with a lot of info, man, so bear with me, okay?
Let's go. Let's go.
All right, so basically with the racial bias topic, right? Data shows that even despite the massive shift in public opinion in relation to cannabis, with a survey showing that more than 65% of the American population now supports legalization, a lot of people are still being arrested for pot-related offenses, especially with minorities. And according to the ACLU, cannabis consumption levels are pretty similar amongst blacks and whites. Yet, black people are almost 4 times more likely than white people to get arrested for possession. So just kind of bringing that all in, you're seeing this massive shift. Even though consumption levels are the same, you're still seeing blacks and Latins especially being arrested 4 times more than a white person.
Yeah. You be on the same wave? I know it was breaking up. You hear me good?
Yeah, you good. You're good now. Yep.
All right. Yeah, but you know, like I said, that was a way for them to go and take your fingerprints. That was just a way to get us in the system. So when you get arrested, what they do when they arrest you, they take your fingerprints. That was just a way to get all the minorities they can on file, on in the system. So now it's in the bigger scale. If you do commit a bigger crime, they already got your fingerprints from smoking a blunt. They already got you in the system for smoking a blunt. Now, when you go to court for something, they be like, "Oh, you was arrested for marijuana." Like it's something big, but it's not the same. It's not the same for all races. It's not the same because we are still looked at as the problem, as the society. We're still looked at, "Oh, he smoked a blunt, he going to rob a store." Like ain't nobody robbing no store to buy no weed. That's not happening. We're not sticking nobody up to buy no weed. You know what I'm saying? And that's how they view us. Like weed leads to robberies, and like the same thing crack does to you. The same thing coke does to you. It's not the truth.
No, absolutely. And it's a lot more to that. I want to ask you specifically, Capone, And you can hear me all right, right? I know the connection's a little bit.
We good. The audio's good. Just the video be lagging a little bit sometimes.
All good, all good. It's probably a Jersey thing, man.
Yeah. I'm from New York. I ain't even gonna take that personal.
Guys, yo, Capone, I want to ask you, man. Get a little bit more personal. You've experienced your own run-in with law enforcement for cannabis possession. Did you feel that race and your celebrity really played a role in that?
I mean, I think it did. Well, I mean, it did because in the situation when I got caught with weed, we was on tour and the police got calls from loud disturbances at the hotel. Mm-hmm. So they came to the hotel with their intentions of being raucous, of being extra aggressive with us, because there's like, who the fuck they think they are? We got 3 tour buses outside the hotel, so they didn't even want us in their city anyway. So they came to the hotel being an over aggressiveness, and they wanted to illegally search people's rooms. And if you didn't let them in your room, people don't understand that when you rent a hotel under your contract, the police have the right to go in your room because you don't own that property. You don't own that room. You're renting that room for the night. So if the manager or the hotel head honchos give them permission to go in your room, they don't even have to ask you to go in their room. They just gonna come with the key, open your door, and search your room. And that's what they did that night. I'm in the bed sleep, and I hear my door open, and it's the police. Like, what are you doing in my room? I ain't do nothing. What are you doing in my room? And I had a damn near pound of weed on my dresser because I'm on tour for 30, 40 days. Mm-hmm. And I got a rent for a pound of weed. You know what I'm saying?
And definitely talk more about that. I want to ask you, man, is there a combination of racism and, and this is kind of more of a personal question that I'm very curious about. Is it just a whole big systematic thing, man, where, not only do you get free labor, but it's a whole system, like you said, to get you in this is they want your fingerprints. I mean, is it just a whole schematic thing?
Yeah, it is, because it's part of a bigger plan. It's part of a bigger plan to just basically, where this all started? Where? After 9/11, when the towers fell, the towers was the central hub for all fingerprints and all records. And a lot of people records got lost when the towers fell. So there's a lot of people on the street with warrants and certain court dates and all that the police had no record of because all those records were lost when the towers fell. So what they do, they come out with a new system. Now they do your fingerprints electronically. So that will never happen again. But how do you get all these people in custody to re-get their fingerprints? Yep. You arrest them for weed because they know everybody smokes weed. They know half the minority smoke weed, and absolutely the majority. So it makes it even worse because they're locking us all up for weed, and that was a way to get all of our fingerprints back on file electronically, digitally, and they swabbing you. That's for DNA. Amazing. You know what I'm saying? So people don't understand the impact that 9/11 had with weed. That's it. When 9/11 happened, they threw out DATs, which is a desk appearance ticket. They threw them out and said, if you get caught for pissing on the street, drinking a beer, whatever, we got to take you down and get you. I think we froze. We back in the loop?
Yep. You good. No, I'm just taking it all in. And, I want to kind of bring it back to, specifically your situation and even connecting it back to the whole Nori thing where, especially at a lot of these instances, Capone, I just feel like a lot of derailment happened, right? Like with the music, you're in album mode, then you got to deal with the legal situation. You haven't done time behind bars. Mm-hmm. Not only are you taking away from your career, you're taking away from your family, you're taking away from being able to help, with the income, you're taking away from touring. There's a lot of setbacks, man. I just want to, get a little bit more personal in your case. What was that immediate impact, not with just you and Nori, but specifically with your family and your career?
Yeah, when I got locked up, I had to bail out. That was money that was taken out my pocket. Then not only after that, I had to take a drug program for 6 months. in order to get the case dropped. So that was every day, 5 days a week for 6 months. I had to go to a drug program for 2 hours a day, where I could have been spending that 2 hours with my kids. I could have been doing other things for 2 hours. I could have been at the label politicking, but no, I had it. And then at times it was crazy. And then, just going through that whole situation, it was time consuming. And nobody wants to go to a program with a bunch of addicts where you're there for weed, man. You're there for weed. I'm not here for smoking crack. I'm not here for shooting dope. I'm not here for robbing, stealing. I'm here for weed, man. And a lot of times, no matter if you're there for weed or whatever, they all make you feel the same. Like, I don't have the same issues as this crackhead right here. But you make me do the same exact, you put us through the same protocol because we have to take this program. So, I didn't want to do that. So that wasted my time, basically, because it's not like I was going to do the program and not smoke weed no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to still get high. I'm just doing this because the court told me to do it, and I got to do it.
Exactly. I'm curious, Capone, like, what was that relationship like with your immediate family? Just with your kids and whatnot. Like, did they understand the bogus and craziness of it? Were they upset because at the end of the day, our father did something that put him in this position? I'm just curious, like, what was that behind closed doors relationship like?
I mean, at the end of the day, my kids were kind of young then. They was real young, so they didn't really understand. But as far as my wife go and my friends, they knew what time it was. You know what I'm saying? Everybody smoked weed. It wasn't like, it was like, oh, you put yourself in this predicament. Nah, it wasn't even like that. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody smokes bud. You know what I'm saying? It just, at that point, it just derailed a lot of things, which it shouldn't happen. It all stemmed from loud noise in a hotel. It's not like I was doing something to put myself in that predicament. I was asleep. You know what I mean? I did my show, came back to the room and went to sleep, and they just come to my room. You know what I'm saying? So that was not a situation where it's like I was smoking and next I'm out fighting or I'm driving smoking and the police pull me over and I got caught with 10 guns or some shit. Nah, it wasn't even like that. So my family understood that this is just bullshit.
Gotcha, man. How did the family kind of, make do with you not being there, in the physical presence while you were, handling that situation? I'm just curious, because, the first thought that I get is, just kind of that absent father. Now, granted, I know you didn't have that type of relationship, but I think there are so many, especially Black men, that are taken out of the community due to something as simple as a petty possession. And, not everybody has $5,000-$10,000 to post bail and do these types of things. It's forced to stay behind bars. And I really want to get your take on that situation, man.
And that situation is, it's messed up because it's a lot of people right now that's still locked up on a 3 strike. That's where it gets crazy at. Now you get a possession. Now you get, say you got an ounce of weed on you. In some cases, that's a felony. You know what I'm saying? Now you got 2 strikes. That's violent crimes that you done did time for. You done served time for. You come home, you got a job, you doing good, you taking care of your family, and then you get caught with some weed, and now they want to give you 20 years for getting caught with weed on your 3rd strike. There's a lot of people in jail that they're just starting to exonerate because of them bullshit 3 strike laws, and you getting caught with weed. It's what's crazy? Aside from the weed, it was a dude that just got caught. He was a homeless dude. Mm-hmm. He stole some pizza. They gave him like life.
Wow.
For pizza. Because he had 3 felonies spanning over 20 years. They gave him life for pizza. And they doing the same thing for weed.
And
they was giving life.
What like drives me the most crazy, just personally, right? Having covered on SOHA so many of these types of stories where you'll just see so many artists just to kind of get away from jail time, they agree to the probation. And it's almost like that's the catch-22 because the smallest little thing, man, it could have been you got busted for, and you see it all the time. Lil Wayne tour bus, raided for marijuana. They smell marijuana. They agreed to a plea deal you saw with Meek Mill. And the smallest incident, man. And I'm just kind of curious your take on, the whole the system regarding probation the probation deals.
Yeah, like the crazy thing is, I was just watching Sports Center and Michael Rubin that runs GM of the Sixers. He was just talking about probation and marijuana. And he was like, you got somebody that's on probation for 10 years, and they could go back to jail for 10 years for smoking marijuana But then New York State just passed a law where no more city workers, they can't even test for marijuana no more. So
Wow.
it's like a catch-22. Like, you're going to send me to jail because I'm on probation for smoking weed, but you're going to tell this police officer or this mail worker that it's all right to smoke weed.
Wow.
Like, that's crazy. Just because I'm on probation. Like, I did the crime. I'm on probation. I never violated. I never did nothing. But now you want to send me to jail and make me finish out my sentence for smoking weed, where you're going to tell the same arresting officer, I can't even test you for weed. So it's cool to smoke weed. Come on, that's crazy.
Exactly.
That's great.
One thing that a lot of people, the theory is why a lot of states are having an issue with this legalization and why there's so much opposition is there's this whole fear of expunging so many criminal records, right? Like, when you're able to clear that slate off, man, and so many people who, let's just say wrongfully, convicted for the most petty reasons, to have those records cleaned out, man, it seems like there's a lot of fear, and I definitely want to get your take on just, marching towards expunging those criminal records.
Yeah, like I just read that they got like 65% of the weed cases getting thrown out across America.
Yeah.
That's in all the legalized states. They getting thrown out. It's not saying that these people are going to come home from jail that's in jail, or the people that's out of jail is going to make their lives any better. It's just that the weed portion of your criminal record is going to get expunged. But what they don't tell you is that anytime you get something expunged, it never goes off your record. They just can't use that against you. So the people can always, if you're going to get a job, if you're going to apply for anything, they still going to see it. It's still going to be on your record. They still can see it, but they can't hold that against you. They can't say, we're not hiring you because you have a weed charge. But if you got a weed charge and a gun charge, they're going to say we can't hire you because of a gun charge. But they're going to see your weed charge. So it's never going to go away. They make it seem like all these weed charges going away, all these people are coming home. Nah, because half of the people that's coming home, that's locked up for weed charges, they have other charges. So they're gonna find a way to keep you in jail. It's nobody in jail just per se for weed unless it's a felony amount. Those they didn't say, they're not expunging. They're not expunging the felony amounts of weed.
No, absolutely. And you know what? You brought up such a good point earlier, man, talking about that little incident that with Nas and Nori, man, having the whole lease. I mean, there's so many of those situations, man. I mean, I'll see, when I fill out just a regular survey or, some type of the application saying, do you have any criminal, background? Have you ever been arrested for something? I mean, something as petty as that possession. I just kind of want to get a little bit more personal with you, man. Has that taken away from a touring opportunity, a show opportunity? I guess, what type of restrictions, if any, have you encountered just due to something as small as that being attached to your name?
Not really. You know what I mean? Because like weed and hip hop goes along. That's like a parallel. Weed and hip hop goes together. Okay. So it's like it's nobody gonna book you for a show because you got weed on your record. Okay. If anything, the promoters is gonna put weed on your rider. You know what I mean? We're gonna make sure that that's on 99.5% of hip hop artists. Weed is on their rider. So, it's not like I lost any show money. Only time I may have lost show money is when, I might have to go to my program on a Saturday because I missed the Wednesday. So now I got to go on a Saturday and I might have a show in somewhere else on that Saturday, but I can't go because I got to go do this program or something. Like, that's the only time that I may have missed money. But as far as losing opportunities, nah, not really. I actually gained opportunities. I was able to perform at the Cannabis Cup. Mm-hmm. I was able to host, the Cannabis Cup. I was able to do a lot of things weed related. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like, me per se lost any opportunities. I know their account and they get violated and things like that. That lost way more opportunity than I've lost. I was just fortunate that when I came home, I did most of my bid in jail. I almost maxed out, so I only came home with a little bit of parole. So I was off parole when a lot of stuff happened to me. But if I was on parole, I guarantee my reaction would be very different.
Yo, a few more things for you, Cole. I gotta get your take on this. Yeah. I kind of talked about it earlier. already, but with the federal government right now, cannabis is listed as a Schedule I drug by the federal government, meaning the drug or other substance has a high potential for abuse. And basically, other drugs that are listed right there with it are heroin, ecstasy, and LSD. And I mean, I'll let you answer that, man. Does it deserve to be on that same level?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Especially not when the people who abuse heroin, they have a whole nother drug they have to get on to get off heroin. You have to get on methadone to get off heroin. Heroin deteriorates your organs. We don't do none of that. Like LSD and ecstasy and all these drugs, they deteriorate your organs. They eat you from inside out. Weed does not do that. It just makes you eat. You know what I'm saying? So it's a big difference. And I don't think it should be on that list because it has no kind of side-by-side effect as any other drug on that list.
Absolutely. And I'm just kind of curious too, Capone, just, with other artists, or not even that, but maybe with family and friends, kind of what's the overall perception, especially now in 2019, toward cannabis, man? And being a father, being a parent, I'm just curious, what is your relationship with your kids? Especially having a Black family, man, like letting them know, like, hey, I might support this, but you just got to be careful with law enforcement, especially in the New York and New Jersey area.
Like, yeah, I got two kids that's, grown teens, both of them is 19. And, like weed is always in their face, you know what I'm saying? Both of them in college, 70% of college kids smoke weed, you know what I mean? Or take prescription drugs. So I just, tell my kids, like my kids before they got that age, they used to think weed was terrible. But as older, and then they seeing the laws change, and then they seeing like everybody smokes weed, you know what I'm saying? They might go to one of their friends' house and their mother, which may be Caucasian, and they live a whole different lifestyle. The perception of weed smokers, and they might smoke weed. They might slip up and leave a joint in the ashtray, and she looking at them like, holy shit, this ain't just a inner city ghetto Black thing. Nah, it's people in the suburbs. It's rich people, billionaires that smoke weed. Like, so it's not like the biggest problem in the world. It's like my kids, I would always tell my kids, listen, whatever you do, but when I'm not there, remember, it's consequences for everything you do. So if you want to smoke weed, go ahead. But do it responsibly and know that there's consequences for your actions. I'm not going to knock you because I smoke weed. But understand that there's consequences. If you get caught by smoking weed by your school staff, you might get kicked out of school. Like, it's consequences. It's consequences. So it's not like I'm telling you, like, don't smoke weed because you're going to smoke crack or you're going to do this. Nah, I don't mind. I'm not going to say I don't mind you smoking weed, but I just want you to know that there are consequences for everything you do.
Absolutely. I'm curious, man, as far as your relationship with cannabis, is it, because we hear so many different things. There's the medicinal aspect. There's the fact that it helps with creativity. There's the fact that, I get these massive headaches and stress, and it really helps relieve. And then there's a whole CBD oil conversation that we can save for another time. But just with your personal relationship with cannabis, man, I guess, what aspect do you really embrace the most?
I mean, I embrace the fact that they're giving people an opportunity to capitalize off something that they actually threw us in jail for. So now you got a lot of people capitalizing, making their own strains, selling their bud. They're giving us an opportunity to capitalize on something that they chastised us for so long. So as far as that aspect, but everything else, I love just the fact that, these other medicines, that they was putting people on for cancer, for lupus, for MLS, for all these things, these other pharmaceutical medicines were, they would give you some MLS, tap the liver. Now you got something else going on, and they want to give you medicine for that. Where it's a lot of people sedicating with cannabis because these medicine, it ain't helping you. It's just certain strains of cannabis have the same effects. So now it's even the lives because you're not medicines that you take one medicine for one thing and the side effects of fuck up something else. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people dying effects of the medicine that they're being prescribed by pharmaceuticals.
Absolutely. And pretty much as I let you go, one thing I love to ask everybody that we have an opportunity to talk to, Capone, is if you could snap your fingers and just make cannabis friendly all across this, not even the US, but let's just say the world. I guess, what is your view of a cannabis friendly world? Is it just the legalization aspect? Is it that, 18 and older, 21 and older? I guess kind of what is your take of a cannabis friendly world? How do you envision
that? I like, the funny thing, I've been to Amsterdam so many times, you know what I'm saying? And being in Amsterdam, just being a red light district, that's like my cannabis friendly world. I would want the whole world to be like a red light district where they got the stores, everywhere you could go, but you gotta have smoking areas. I still will respect, the 500 feet within the school range. And, I would, it could be controlled areas, because you still gotta respect kids. You still gotta respect places, churches, things like that. No smoking fucking down the street, just blowing. It would be dope, but you gotta also respect certain areas. So I would want the whole world to be like a red light district. You just go in the store, buy weed, smoke weed, 21 and over, because you don't want anybody just to be smoking and you 14, 15, 9. Mm-hmm. But I would put it like alcohol. You know what I'm saying? I would put it in the same category as the way you can get alcohol. And you can smoke in certain areas, like you can drink in the bars, like they got cannabis bars. Make it like that. You know what I'm saying? Where the same way you can do alcohol, let's make marijuana the same.
Absolutely. And it's funny, as you mentioned, I'm just thinking about even at the bars, you're not supposed to at least have kids sitting at the bar. Like even the kids kids got to go sit at the table. The adults are at the bar. Yeah. You have it blocked off and everybody wins.
And people fail to realize, like, in the 80s, you was able to smoke in all the bars.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, imagine you take the cigarette out their hand and put a joint. We would be like the 80s all over. If you look at any of the 80s movies, this motherfucker's walking in the bank smoking a cigarette. Like, imagine walking in the bank, you smoking a joint, withdrawing your money. Yeah, let me get 5,000, you know what I'm saying, in the hundreds. You know what I mean? You smoking your weed. I mean, like, shit,
Yeah.
Because it's not considered a drug no more. Like, cigarettes is far worse than weed. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Cigarettes everywhere.
Capone, I cannot thank you enough, man. I could talk to you for 2 hours just straight, man. So,
no doubt.
You were way too much fun, man. As we let you go, man, I definitely want you to let everybody know where to keep up with you at, man, for all the latest and greatest from the great Capone.
Yes. You can reach me at Capone QB for life on Instagram, Capone QB on Facebook, and Capone QB on Twitter. And watch out for that new album from me and Daz from Dog Pound. You know what I'm saying? We're doing an album together. It's gonna be crazy. We got everybody on the album, man. We're doing this like a big East Coast West reunion type of thing. It's no hate, it's all love. And I got a solo album coming out. Me and Nori got an album coming out. We got a sneaker coming out at the end of the month with Ewing. And we just grinding. I got my clothing brand, Akasi. You can check that out on Instagram at Akasi Collection. It's AKASI Collection. That's the Instagram page. And just watch. And the website is akasicollection.com, where you can order, your Akasi wear. And support us, man. Real hip hop in the building, baby.
Capone, I cannot thank you enough for coming through, man. You never have any time off, man. So keep the grind going, and we will stay connected, okay?
All right, peace, man. Super love.
Capone. Thank you so much. Right. Man.